You must be cold by now because I made it for you so freaking earlier.
Oh, it's the perfect temperature. It's not cold, but it's not
Ugh.
hot either. It's like lukewarm.
Ew.
That's how I like it because I
That's
like iced coffee,
nasty.
and then hot coffee makes me sleepy, so I prefer lukewarm.
That's gross. For me, it's like if you're going to drink coffee, you're going to drink it hot.
That's okay. Anything you drink or eat that's cold affects how your body temperature is.
Yes. I'm an amphibian.
Yeah, you are. I am a grizzly bear. I don't know. Whatever animal's always warm. Not for the hairiness, because I'm not that hairy. My legs are pretty hairy, though.
Your legs is fine. But like your chest and oh my God, if you had hair on your back, oh my God.
Pause. Maybe I wouldn't sweat that much.
No, still, no. I don't want it
That's
to
true.
be too hairy.
I'm not that hairy, but
And
I'm not
also-
bald either.
Exactly. Because it's like, if you had no facial hair, I'd be like, ugh. Gross.
Look, I just had no facial hair like a month ago.
And I know, and I hated it. Anyways, let's move on.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of KB Talk. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Karen.
Today, we're not doing any Reddit stuff. This time, we want to talk about a specific topic.
Well, I actually wanted to bring some stuff
Oh, okay.
that I was reading.
Bring it on, babe. Open to it. What do you have for me today?
First of all, I would say that this is a topic that I've been kind of wanting to discuss for a while, but I just didn't know how to bring it up in a way that borderline really doesn't like offend people.
Okay.
Because it is a very touchy subject. And what that is like being woke. Like, what does it mean by being woke? And is being woke a good thing or a bad thing? Or just like, I consider myself a pretty liberal person. Now, being woke, though, I feel like being woke is taking being liberal to the extreme. That's my opinion. So I don't consider myself being woke.
I mean, you heard that saying that they're doing for Marvel now. If you go woke, go broke.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know that. But, I mean, as a minority, first off, because I've read that being woke means that you are aware of the prejudice that minorities face.
Okay.
So that's what being woke is. So, you empathize with minorities or with people that are not like the same, that don't have the same struggles as you, or that are less privileged. You empathize with them. I feel like I do that. I do empathize as much as I can with people. If there's people less privileged than me, which, I mean, there's always is someone less privileged than you. I try to be kind as much as I can. Now, being woke, in my opinion, is just a bit too much. Now, I don't know. So I wanted to ask you, I don't know what you think about being woke, because I feel like you are not as open-minded as I am sometimes.
Yes, you're a little. I mean, I consider myself to some extent a liberal as well, but I'm not as far as you are.
I feel like you don't. It's hard for you to empathize with everybody. I feel like I empathize more, surprisingly.
Yeah, for the introvert that you are, you surprisingly are. Because sometimes I'll say things and you're like, "Whoa, that's."
I was like, I wasn't even ready for that.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. I'm like, wow.
And the thing is, I also do know that you have a very dark humor. And so do I. I have a really dark humor, which is why...
But mine is darker.
Yours is really dark sometimes. Like, you throw things at me. Like, you be driving, and I'm, like, just on my phone, like, looking for the next song to play. And you say some real fucked up stuff. And I'm just like, wait a minute. What just happened? Like, and then you're like, what? Like,
or
you didn't even realize.
Or something like, well, we're people observing at the gym or even just in person with family.
Yes.
Or
When we are people watching, I come up with some really dark stuff. Really weird thoughts. And first off, I love the fact that you feel comfortable sharing that with me, because, like I said, I mean, I have a pretty dark humor, and I like, you do make me laugh. Like, I feel like your humor is pretty funny. It's pretty spot on. But sometimes, very, very rarely, you will say something and I will just be like, I will honestly get like upset, and I will be like,
I know you get mad at me.
Yeah, and I'll be like, hey, that was fucked up. Like, maybe don't say that. And you're like, why?
It's a joke.
It's just a joke. And I was like, yeah, but I think that's like joking. That's taking joking like a little bit too far. That, and for me to say that I'm just saying like that's a lot. So I do realize that you see things very different than I do, and you may not empathize with people as much as I do. So with being woke, which is mostly about being like empathizing with people,
Right.
what do you think about it? How do you perceive being woke?
I'm not a fan of it. Like the
Okay.
simple terms, I am not a fan of woke people. The extreme leftists, you could say, of
Okay.
that people are. No, but there's.
It's
I don't know
a
how to
touchy subject.
It's a touchy subject because as much as I don't like the woke, I also on the extreme end of being woke, being asleep or whatever you want to call it, that also bothers me.
Okay, so you try to just kind
I
of.
kind of try to stay neutral. Like
Okay.
it's hard to say neutral because I do lean more towards like like
Woke.
you said, woke.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm nowhere like I'm closer to being woke than I'm being conservative or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I will agree with that because first off, I wouldn't be myself. I wouldn't be with a conservative guy. I feel like that will never work. However, I do like the fact that we disagree on a few things, not many, but I do like the fact that we don't think the same about stuff
Right.
because it really has taught me to just look at things from a different perspective and just not be so close-minded, because a lot of people that are woke think that they're so open-minded. They think they are so
Welcoming and pleasant and that everybody loves them.
but they're really not, because they are not welcoming opinions that do not match theirs.
Exactly. And that's what points me to that, like how there's just as much as there's wokes and there's the both sides, like the both sides have that extreme point where they can't meet in the middle and have a heart to heart discussion or just like information. Like I'm very open into networking and getting information from other people and how they think and how, because that's how we are. We both have our different thoughts, and we have my family who's the complete opposite of us. Mm-hmm. But we can sit down as a family and have these discussions without it becoming hostile.
Yeah, and so that's the one thing that I was saying is like you taught me to kind of allow the other side to speak.
Right. Because when we first started dating and when we first started living together, it was very your way or the highway.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's what relationships, in my opinion, are supposed to be, especially when you're young. You're trying to figure out who you are at the same time where you're trying to figure out what kind of relationship you want to be in while you are in a relationship. So having those moments where I had to step back and really analyze the way that I think may not be the right way was a bit of an opening to me. Also, I mean, therapy, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, therapy is amazing. Therapy helps me be more aware of what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing, and trying to, get a better understanding of my life and how I go about it.
Yeah, which I'm not gonna lie, you told me I need to do that with my life because I have, everybody has their own demons.
Yeah,
I go a little deeper, so
everybody should go to therapy.
Yeah, everybody should go to therapy. I've been saying that for the longest time, and I'm not gonna lie, I was being very hypocritical about it.
Yes,
but I'm gonna finally take that step and I'm gonna try it out, and I'm trying to go in with a positive mindset.
Yeah, it's these are the things that you taught me, so it was very interesting, in my opinion, wanting to know your point of view as far as being woke. I read this thing. I wanted to read you. So it said, woke people can be some of the most abusive people you'll ever meet. So it's someone made a post, and it was just one of those things that pop up, read a post or anonymous post, because there's so many. So it's a little bit of a story. So this is I'm guessing it's his experience, because he talks about an ex being a girl. So let's just say, I think it's great when people take a stand for social issues and have no issues with being awake. However, this can go too far and it allows for people to become abusive while thinking they are completely in the right. That's an incredibly dangerous thing. My ex was one of these people. She cared deeply about fixing social issues, and because of that, she felt it was fine to steamroll everyone she knew and cared about because their discomfort was worth the change she was pushing. To an extent, I even agree with that. She was way too hypocritical though. Eventually, she became dead to my feelings. If she hurt me, I did something to deserve it. Or if I was overreaching, overreacting out of fragility and needed to get a grip, she was never willing to admit wrong. And my views were always tainted because I was a guy. Okay, so this is a guy.
Okay.
I didn't get that far in the story, so I'm just saying, like, if I wanted to read this with you before I read everything. So then he goes, I spent way too long in that relationship hating myself because I respected her efforts for change. It wasn't until I sought therapy, my point right there, that I realized how hurtful she was being. Eventually, I came to the conclusion that believing the same things she didn't give her a pass to treat people awfully. So yeah, sometimes the most outwardly caring and seemingly empathetic people can be the most abusive ones in your life. So I literally just read the title, which is Woke People Can Be Some of the Most Abusive People You'll Ever Meet. That's all I read. And wanting to ask you about wokeness and having to, just explain how you helped me change a lot on like the way that I think and just being more open to other ideas. I feel like this little story, this little confession, like really summarized that.
Right.
So I don't think, at least not anymore, I don't think I'm at that point where I disregard other people's opinions. I mean, you've taught me to give people the time of my day if they deserve it, in a very respectful and civil manner. Because I'm not going to start arguing with someone that I know I'm going to be wasting my time and things can get hostile. So like you say, trying to argue and like share your opinions in a healthy way where both parties kind of agree to hear each other. Both parties are trying. The purpose of like the conversation is to try to understand the other party. So yeah, so having these conversations, I feel like are very important. And going now through another what people are calling like another woke movement.
Okay.
In other words, civil rights movement. I do agree that a lot of people's human rights, they are violated every single day. Unfortunately, it's still happening until this age. Like, I don't understand. So I do understand that there's still a lot of room to grow. Now, being woke, because now that like so many people find it, now people are kind of like over it. People are like, that's annoying. It's annoying like to deal with woke people. On your experience, I mean, with me, we kind of learn how to communicate a little bit better, understand our differences, and try to keep it in a neutral ground. Have you had an interaction with someone that was too woke that you can say was like borderline abusive?
I don't think I have. I haven't been put in the situation or the environment to be around someone that's so woke. We just moved from the Carolinas, and the Carolinas isn't that much of a woke location to begin with. So we haven't had that. I haven't had that, opportunity but I have been put in the opposite end of someone who's extremely conservative and closed off.
Okay.
Like, us being on the more liberal side, they're always being questioned and why, which honestly is disrespectful. Like, not like we just came back from a rave last night, and just because I don't know if it was the music, something they saw, but it's like immediately they were like, oh, I'm like, I feel sorry for you. And I'm like, damn, like what?
You were like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, what did I do wrong? It's like that's disrespectful because I don't go to them and whatever their beliefs or whatever they do, I'm like, dang, I feel sorry for you.
So that's like the opposite side of being woke.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I haven't had the chance to speak to someone with woke, but I have had the opposite end.
Which fairly so. I mean, that's how most people are down in North and South Carolina. So I get it.
Exactly.
Now, now that you mentioned that, like, oh, look how they, like, conservatives, they try to push their, like, thoughts and opinions onto you, which I find it really funny that you said that, because in my opinion, I think conservatives are more abusive trying to express their opinion than woke people.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
No. But what I'm trying to say is, like, it's very funny how both ends of the spectrum are very similar, yet
yes,
very, very different.
yes,
And I
100%.
feel like a lot of people fail to realize that you might have a lot more in common with your enemy than with your friends.
I 100% agree.
So, and this was a very interesting thing to me, as far as, like, used to being, super radical and very much woke. I feel like now I don't consider myself a woke person, because of the simple fact that you taught me how to be more myself, like how to stay true to myself. Now, for you, having you being around me, how would you say that affected you? With me being through my extreme
You did,
wokeness.
yeah. I mean, you did help me open up to a lot more things. I was very closed off. I mean, I grew up in, a house where it was Jesus or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I had my own opinions already, but I did keep him away from the household. And it wasn't until I met you where you're like, why are you living two separate lives? Why not be yourself everywhere, including at home? Because, I mean, it's my family. If they're going to accept me either way, which honest, at first they did not.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to other episodes, I left the house because of it.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, like I said at the beginning, like not that long ago, was that we can now have a conversation, a civil conversation, a peaceful conversation, without it becoming an argument about why, we question them. Hey, like, why do you believe these things? Like, it's just knowledge that we want to know. Conversations, the same way they find us interesting, it's also interesting to us. But we're not going to go and we're not having these disrespectful comments of like, well, I'm sorry for you. Like, why do you believe in that? Like, you're crazy. We don't have that. Or the other way around, we have had that towards us, which from the conservative religious standpoint, that goes against what they believe. They're not supposed to be judging others.
That's a good thing. That's a good point of view. Like, it's a good thing you just said that.
Exactly. And that's why I'm like, and they're stressed out and they're worried about what others think of them.
Yeah.
Versus someone like us, which I feel like there's a lot of people that are like us, either on closer to that side or this side, that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, we're enjoying our lives. We have our way of thinking. We're not saying it's right or wrong, but it's just the way that makes us happy. It brings us peace. It keeps us united and makes us do all the things we want to do. Like, versus the other side that's just worried more about their neighbor than themselves. Wow, sorry.
Now, what would you say is one thing you agree with the more conservative side?
More conservative side. It comes more to like policies. I've owned guns myself. I feel like every person has the right to own their weapon to protect themselves, because the government themselves cannot be trusted.
Okay.
So I do believe in that law.
Okay. Now, just so that way, we can have, I think, from both parties, what is something that you truly support, that is more on the woke side?
On the woke side, pro-choice.
Okay.
I believe every woman has the right to choose to abort their, that life is going to grow inside of them if they're not ready.
Okay.
Or if they don't want it. If they were raped, 100% don't have the kid. If you're not financially steady, it's a 16-year-old who had a one-night stand. She's not ready to care for another life. She's still trying to figure out her life. And then, but it also comes to the double standards of man and woman, because let's say if this girl or this woman says, yes, I want to keep this baby. Now the father, whether it was a one-night stand or someone relationship that's maybe they're not ready to have that child, now they're obligated financially to support and give this kid child support, however much money it is. And if like the dad is like, I'm like, I feel like you should not have this kid, they should have the right to sign that kid away. Like, I have no responsibility. It's because I'm not going to be in that kid's life at all.
Okay.
Because the woman has the choice.
Yeah.
Let's say the guy wants to, like, no, keep the baby.
Like, that's a liability.
Yes. If the guy says, I want to have this kid, but the woman says no, there's no stopping it.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
So I think that needs
to be... So,
like,
it doesn't matter how much the guy wants to be a father, if the mom is not ready and there's the option to abort, she will take that option.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand where you're coming from. First off, I really appreciate the fact that I feel like I contributed a lot onto like why you think that way and the fact that you think that way.
No, yeah, 100%.
Because I feel like it's very hard for a woman to find a supportive partner that is there to like back her up no matter what. I think it's very hard for a woman to find a partner where they can truly be themselves with. Like, it's very, like, I've seen like women, it's like a very scary feeling to be in a relationship with someone that you have to hide certain things from, that you can't say this, or you can't wear that, or you can't really do this hobby, I guess you can say, that you know that if you were to do any of those things, your partner will be upset.
Right.
So I do appreciate the fact that I have that with you at least. I wish every woman were to have that in their lives. I wish every woman were to have their partners to be fully supportive of themselves and be able to, just be themselves around them. Now, when it comes to a woman and this whole abortion situation, first off, I'm very much pro-choice. I don't care. I feel like I don't want anyone, including you, to come and tell me what to do with my body. So, I mean, I get it. But let's say if we were talking about a woman wanting to not have the baby and the men wanting to have the baby, I see what you mean as far as like, it isn't fair to not think about the men. It isn't fair because men come across, but men are supposed to have this energy where they're
a tough guy. They have it all figured out, like little to no emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do know, and I feel like a lot of people seem to honestly just, I guess, realize or acknowledge is the fact that there are men that are very emotional. There are men that are way too emotional than some women. And that's okay. I mean, it is okay for a man to cry, for a man to feel joy. And
I cry.
You do. You do. But it is okay. Like, it is. And I love the fact that, you do that with me. I feel like the same thing goes, like I said, the same thing how a woman sometimes have to hide the way they are. Some men have to do that too because of these expectations that are set with them being the provider of the household or from some places, the head of the household. I get it. Like, some men have to kind of put that more rough exterior. So when it comes to that situation where a woman is the one that is not wanting to have a baby, to keep the pregnancy going, but the man is, I feel like the man still does not have a saying.
I get it. I know where you're coming from because it's her body. I get it.
Yes.
100% get it.
But I know what you mean. Like, I know what you mean as far as like,
or at least the opportunity to like talk, not necessarily argue it, but like, because
no, of course, I feel like both parties should be part of that. Like, should know that first off. The woman shouldn't keep that from the man because it takes two to make three.
It takes two to tango.
Yes, but I feel like yes, both parties should be present into making that decision. Now, this is the problem though, is that just how we were just talking, how in between woke and conservative, how even those two parties can communicate.
No.
So that's the problem too. It's like, I feel like that's a very hard thing to implement because there are a lot of people, women and men, that cannot communicate. Not even in like their good days, not even where they were like the most in love, you can say they were still not able to communicate.
It's
I don't know though if that is more because they were not meant to be, or because, or just, because that's how they just want to live their life. Like, I don't know if it's something that they acknowledge or they don't.
It's their upbringing. It's how they're honestly raised and who their parents, I guess, and how they were parented.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like,
Because,
give me an example.
Because I wasn't like, I had my father who was very worldly and my mother who's very religious, so I was able to see both sides and have that like middle my own opinion versus someone that is born in Taylorsville, North Carolina, with very conservative parents, only knowing one thing until maybe
That's a very specific place.
I'm just thinking about a country, like super country.
I like Cherville.
I
like Cherville. That's still my favorite.
It's spelled Cherryville, but it's pronounced Cherville.
I know, that's like my favorite word.
Yeah.
It's like Cherville.
Cherville.
And
it's they're like I said, they're raised and born with like, this is like they're smaller towns.
Like, this is all you know. Like,
this is all you know.
You're not exposed to anything else.
Mom and dad see it. Kids admire their parents. They're like sponges. They're gonna absorb it all.
Okay.
So that's what I mean.
So it will take technically a genetic mutation for someone that will be just like, will only know that environment.
It doesn't necessarily.
No, I know, but I like it's something where it's like it tweaks
something else, like a third party. Something was introduced.
Okay.
Not even a third party. Even if it was like the parent, like one day the dad was like, you know what, like I have my own opinions, or I developed like something else, something new.
Okay, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, as a kid, were you allowed to voice your opinion?
Exactly.
Or were you technically like oppressed?
Which I get it. Kids don't have much to say because they're kids for a reason.
But I feel like a lot of people are missing out on how kids analyze life and how more aware they are.
Exactly. But it's all, like I said, but it all comes down to the environment that they're raised in.
True.
Because they're not going to know how to voice an opinion without having other
people
like
showing
point of
them.
views. Exactly. When you're just showing a straight line, you're not going to know you can turn right.
Okay, I see what you mean. But like I said, it's very hard to get to where both parties will be able to talk to each other. So this is where I'm going, where I'm trying to go to technically with this, is that, do you ever think that the world will ever have the woke and the conservative like coexist? Or do you think more as far as like, there's always good, there's always evil, no matter what, there's always going to be black and white?
There's always going to be that. There's no way of getting rid of that. There's always going to be day and night. Always.
Okay.
I mean,
I know that, I know you're right, but
yes.
it's
especially,
so sad.
It's sad, but especially how the world, the government, everything is ran, how humans have started from the beginning.
Okay.
There's always been that division in people.
Like that. Okay, I see what you mean.
It's
like,
just
there's always
something that's like bred into us.
Yeah. Like there's, so now that you said that.
Before what?
Finish what you were saying. Yeah,
because
kind of, and no.
Like, if you want to sum it down to like the United States, very fortunate to be here and given these opportunities, but the United States are the most divided states.
Yeah. For it to be one nation.
Because
under
exactly.
God.
Exactly. So, I mean, we have blue states and red states.
Yeah.
I mean, why do things have to be separated? Why is our president only a Democrat? Why can't it be someone in the middle that can bring us together and neutralize us versus just being a positive or a negative, positive, whatever you want to call it? Wow. Like, why does our president have to be one side or the other? He is the president of the United States. He's our leader. He should be uniting us, not separating us.
That is such a great, I've never thought to articulate it that way. Wow. That's good. So are you done?
Yes, I'm done.
So before, I want to make sure that you were done with you. But that's a great way of looking at it. I never thought of it that way. So I like that. I like the way that you put that together. So going back to what you said, is like, this is just how humans are. So I got into this every once in a while. I'll get into my like rabbit holes where I go into very interesting topics, and I don't know how I end up in that, I guess, corner of the internet. But I did find a pretty interesting topic. It was about speciesism.
Speciesism?
Speciesism.
Speciesism, okay.
So speciesism, just like racism, you know how racism, you think that racism technically is someone thinks some races or a race is superior to other races, or there is a rank of different races.
Before you continue, aren't we a human race? Aren't we called the human race?
I don't know. English language for me is a little vague. I prefer Spanish.
I never understood that part. Someone, please put in the comments, explain to me. What is it? I'm confused, but continue.
But so, anyway, so you know how racism is, there's a rank. A imaginary rank, and for some reason a lot of people will follow it. I don't understand. So there's this thing that only humans have, clearly, because I mean, just look at the way that we treat the world, where they have speciesism, where humans think that they are the highest, most powerful species in the world, and that everything and everyone is below them. So that's speciesism.
Yes, I mean,
which is unfair.
Yes, but I also think it's also right because we're the only species that can, have developed.
I know
we can build buildings, and we can build cars.
Yes, I acknowledge that, and I see where you're coming from, and I knew that you were going to say that.
Okay,
but don't you think at the same time we aren't? And the reason why we are so many civilizations have failed is because we will never be able to get rid of speciesism. Is because we are never going to be able to treat all the other species with the same amount of respect that we want to be treated.
I see.
Before you keep going. So what I'm saying is, with that said, it's funny how, with racism and woke and conservative and all that stuff, because at the end of the day, that's what really woke and conservative people come from, is they come from the umbrella of racism, prejudice, all that stuff. I feel like because of now the knowing the whole term and history on speciesism, I feel like we're doomed to not succeed as a civilization, as a world, as like a planet. I think we're doomed to not succeed. Like, I feel like there are aliens out there that are like watching the Earth, like a reality show of like, this Earth is always supposed to crash. We're just waiting for the moment.
Okay, so this is a rabbit hole that I have gone through myself because the whole conspiracies and stuff. Because I love Egyptians.
Yep.
So
I know
all their.
That's why I wanted to talk to you about this.
Everything that they have created is something like they're perfect, like cutting out stuff from limestone, creating the pyramids. It's technology that we can't even do nowadays. So yes, I do believe that humans, I see what you mean, that we're not like the most superior. And yeah, it could be that aliens are out there. Maybe we're just like test subjects. Like, let's figure out how long this lasts, because going back to the Egyptians, there's a lot of hieroglyphics that dictate or show,
imply
like superior beings. And they are, it's because, if we, from the mindset of like, no, we're not, like we come from, Adam and Eve and all that stuff, or whatever the case
whatever
is,
your
beliefs
your evolution, begins of time,
a certain way. No, because if we were so back in technology or so predated back then, primitive?
Yes.
Then how do these structures, hieroglyphs, all have similarities and some matches around the world?
Yeah. Like how was it possible for that to be?
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is why I wanted to talk to you about this.
And then that's why that's what made me like steer away from Christianity, because I was like, pause. What is all this? So
same thing here. Now, I'm not as much into like whole Egyptian stuff like conspiracy, but I'm more into like I'm more into like the social movement. I found this documentary on Hulu. Is the big scary S word.
Okay.
I think, or something along those lines. So it talks about socialism.
Yeah, it is a big scary ass word, I think.
I think that's how it's called. But it talks about socialism, but like modern socialism. So I think the documentary came out in 2022 or 2021. I'm not really sure. But I think I watched it earlier this year. And it was, first off, it's a great documentary. I wouldn't say like it will make you change your mind, but it definitely makes you think as far as like how society was built and where society is going, the way that is going, this way that it is being right now. And it's very interesting how it talks about how capitalism against socialism and how the answer, like humans know the answer to success, to like a beautiful,
Unity,
peaceful, like
utopia.
The answer to a successful, like peaceful world, like to world peace. You know how people are like, oh, I wish
for world peace.
Yeah, you go on like pages like, I wish for world peace. I want a rainbow right here. Okay, so you know how people are like, that's their, a lot of times, like if they only have one wish, there's a lot of people in this world that if they only have one wish, they wish for world peace. But don't you think we already know the answer? So watching this documentary, it talks about socialism and capitalism, and talks about how if we follow socialism the right way, not socialism,
way, yeah.
Not socialism the way that a lot of people have called
or other countries,
or are calling right now socialism. Watch it because it's very interesting. But socialism is more of a like, we care for every single person around us. Like we are a unit.
Right.
We are a whole. We are not individuals. We make up a whole. This will never happen, first off. I'm not saying that it will happen because I have absolutely no hope. But he talked about how if we were to follow that route, the human race will be the most, we will have a very successful thing. Like if you're thinking about like fucking Wakanda and like all of these like parallel universes, like we will have that.
Yeah.
Like we will definitely have that. But because we can't, we are not programmed to do that.
We're too greedy.
Exactly. That's what capitalism is. And that's why capitalism has been the source of every single civilization and the doom of every single civilization. And this is what I'm saying is, we're never going to be okay. Like, I feel like we are never going to get to a place where everybody will be happy because it has happened now. We have seen it. Talking about abortion. Abortion was illegal. Then abortion became legal. Then abortion became illegal. Then abortion became legal. Guess what? Abortion is not going back to being illegal.
Yeah.
After it was legal. And this is what I mean. It's like we progress, but then we digress. We are never going to constantly progress. And
it's almost like it's doomed to happen. Like
exactly.
Because we have a moment of like, okay, things are going great.
Fucked up.
No, there's moments of like, things are going good. There's almost like, it's quiet. And it's almost like there's someone out there who's like, it's too quiet. We need to do something. We need to make a ruckus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And like that's what I mean of like, that's when we digress. Like there's someone that always like throws a little seasoning on it. I'm like, damn it.
Exactly.
So that leads me to the way I think is now I realize that being woke or being conservative it shouldn't be a thing. It should not be a thing. You should not be woke. You should not be conservative. You should try to meet in the middle. Because if we are never going to meet in the middle, guess what? We're never going to reach that that global level of empathy.
No, and especially coming from both sides. If you are like the woke, we just want to be accepted and do whatever we want. Okay, fine.
Then accept other people at the same time.
Same thing with conservatives. We just want peace and life and love. Then accept everybody else.
Give love back.
Yes, give love it back. Mm-hmm. Don't judge, because that's the whole thing in all religions, not to judge.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like that's all I have for you. I hope you like where I took this.
No, I loved it. This was perfect. Like, wow.
Yeah. I'm very into like reading and wanting to learn. Mm-hmm. And more now that I try to be more open-minded, like to, I guess the opposite way, to the opposite party.
You're willing to gain more knowledge.
Yeah, I'm willing to gain more knowledge.
Even if you don't agree to it, you're trying to understand the way they think.
And if you have something that, you would like to kind of would like for me to know more about, like, let me know, because I always love to like learn new things. And now I'm trying to be more like, how can I grow myself, like spiritually, mentally, physically? Like, I'm just trying to improve. I'm just trying to be the best version of myself that I can be. I will never be perfect. I will never be perfect. I am not aiming for perfection, but at least I want to say, you know what? I did everything I could for my conscience to be okay, to know how to be the best person that I could be.
I agree.
And I think that's where everybody should be focusing on.
Everybody.
I think everybody should be focusing on growing in all aspects of your life. I don't believe in God. First off, I don't believe in God, but I am not going to. I learned that now I'm not going to, talk bad about those people that believe in God. And I'm also not going to deny my spiritual side, because everybody has a spiritual side. Whether that is you're into aliens, conspiracy theories, crystals.
As my dad says, the Anunnakis.
Like, crystals and whatever you're into. Yeah. Everything falls under spirituality. And 100%. That's okay. And I feel like most people should be like reaching for that rather than, I need to be black or white.
I agree. People should, from both sides of the end, whatever the way you think, however it brings you peace, fine. That's fine. You have every single right to think that way. Mm-hmm. But before you say anything, your opinions, think about it. If it was the other way around, how would you feel?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I have dark humor, but I'm not going to say it out loud to people.
I know.
I say it to you because you're my wife.
Well, I mean, you have to say it. I would be offended if you don't say it.
Then don't get mad when I say something.
Well, I mean, but I have to give you my genuine reaction. I can't just not do that. I'd be like, wait a minute.
Right. But before you say anything, just think about it. How is that person? I get it.
Are you doing it to the right person?
Are you doing it to the right person? Do you know this person? And like, how are they going to take it? Like, if it was the other way around.
Sometimes the person and the timing, those two go together, because you might have the right person, but you might not have the right timing.
Or even if you are going to say it, it's the way you say it as well.
True.
The way you present it and the way you say certain things, if it and the right moment to say it.
Like I said, is the timing. Yeah. So I hope you like our episode. I wanted to take like a different approach to it today. Thanks, babe, for just following along with me.
Yeah, no, it was great. I loved it.
I feel like I should be directing them.
Wow,
often.
Now you're the main host. I'm just the co-host now.
You are like my equipment guy.
That's perfectly fine.
Because I don't know what I'm doing.
That's okay.
I don't know how many times I've dropped things.
That's why you have me.
I know. Well, let us know what you think about our episode. If you like it, you didn't, whatever. Don't say anything. I don't care.
Hit the
Clearly,
like button.
He cares.
I care. Like I said, feedback. I'd love to hear what you guys have. I've had only one or two or maybe just a handful of direct messages, but nothing public. Because I don't know if you're shy and people to think how you think. This is the whole point of this thing is to,
we do the talking for you.
We do the talking for you. So, but thank you guys. And thank you, babe. That was amazing.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.